It is often said that to make it to the very top as a professional athlete, you always have to have that hunger, the constant yearning and desire to do better, to be better, and to never be too comfortable in one's comfort zone. And in football, we have had great examples of that in recent years. Julián Alvarez was winning trophies at Manchester City, but he wanted more than to just be Haaland's second fiddle, so he chose to leave and join Atlético Madrid, where trophies are less guaranteed, but where he was guaranteed to be the main man. Kvaratskhelia also left Napoli halfway into a season where a league title was guaranteed in order to join PSG, because he knew it would be a much better choice for his career. But there are some players who don't seem to have that kind of ambition, and it is those guys we're here to talk about today. These are the 7 least ambitious players in modern football. We'll start with Rodrygo. This dude should have left Real Madrid already. He doesn't get treated as priority at the Bernabeu anymore, and even the players know this, hence the whole "only fools forget the R" thing Bellingham did a couple years back. Having already won a couple Champions League titles and built a respectable trophy cabinet, if Rodrygo was more ambitious, he would have moved to a different club where he'll be more respected and appreciated. And it's not like there haven't been suitors. Arsenal and Man City were reportedly very interested in him in the last 2 transfer windows and were ready to break the bank for him and make him one of the faces of the team, but the Brazilian instead preferred to remain on Real Madrid's bench. Even Endrick, who is years younger, was not satisfied with that and opted for a loan deal halfway into the season, but Rodrygo seems to just be very okay with feeding on scraps in terms of minutes. But in Rafael Leao's case, it's perhaps even worse. At least, Rodrygo can boast of playing for one of the best teams in the world and competing for the biggest trophies every season, but Leao has been in a declining Milan for years now, and transfer windows come and go without him really pushing for a move. And this lack of ambition showed even more when he went and signed a 5-year contract with Milan in 2023, allowing them to add a €175 million release clause in that contract. This made it difficult for clubs that were very interested in him to actually make a move. I mean, it's looking like he might finally leave the club this summer, but that's only because Milan are now in a position where they have to sell because of their financial struggles. So it's not really because the Portuguese winger wants better. This is just not the type of attitude you want to be seeing from a player, especially one with that kind of talent. Now, what about Nico Williams? As a Spain international, when you have Barcelona knocking on your door more than once, you just have to answer, or at the very least move to another top club who wants you, maybe Arsenal or Liverpool. But instead, he went and signed a new deal with Athletic Club, which included a release clause of €90 million, making it much harder for him to get a move. Now, don't get us wrong here, we actually value loyalty. And perhaps you could say that Nico Williams is only trying to make sure that his boyhood club earns a good amount of money from his sale. That's great. But signing a 10-year contract is the part we still can't understand. That just gives all of the power to the club and shows a lack of ambition from the player. Now, he just had a terrible season, and Athletic Club will not be in the Champions League or even the Europa League next season. If no club comes to buy him this summer, this could really be the beginning of a very sad what-if story. And this also sort of reminds us of Victor Osimhen's case. When Conte became Napoli boss and made it clear to the Nigerian that he was not in his plans, his agent should have immediately started to look for a massive upgrade for him. Instead, they left it super late, and in the end could not come to an agreement with Chelsea. With the window closed, his options were down to Saudi or the Turkish league, which was how he ended up at Galatasaray at the prime of his career. Obviously, Gala is a huge club and the fans absolutely love Osimhen. It's just that the Turkish league is simply not as competitive, nor is it as popular as the big 5 leagues, and Osimhen will just never get his flowers playing there. Honestly, the fact that he and his camp left the whole deal so late in the summer of 2024 just showed a lack of ambition. I mean, just go back and look at that title-winning Napoli team and where the main guys are right now. Kvara is now at PSG, Kim Min-jae is at Bayern Munich, even Raspadori got a move to Atleti, but Osimhen, who was arguably the best of the lot that year, could only secure a move outside Europe's top 5 leagues. Just think about it for a second. But of course, not only attacking players can show a lack of ambition. Andriy Lunin is one guy who has done so as well. After the 2023-24 campaign he had, there were a number of top clubs around Europe ready to hand him the keys to the kingdom. Yes, he pretty much led Real Madrid to the final that year, but there was zero chance he could possibly displace Courtois in the next 5 to 7 years. So, The best thing would have been to say thank you to Real Madrid and move to a club where he would be the main man and play a lot more minutes. But guess what he did instead? With his stocks at the absolute highest they'll ever be and his contract with the club running out, Lunin went and signed a 5-year deal to keep him at the club until 2030. He could have been the undisputed number one for a number of teams, but he preferred to sign away his 20s to playing second fiddle to Courtois. If that isn't a lack of ambition, then we really don't know what is. Anyway, quickly back to the attackers. Federico Chiesa has shown a gross lack of ambition since he moved to Liverpool. Arne Slot has shown that he absolutely doesn't care for the Italian. He would rather play a right-back, Frimpong, a midfielder, Szoboszlai, and a teenager, Rio, in attack before even thinking of Chiesa. And this didn't just start this season. Last season, Chiesa barely played for Liverpool. And we know some of you might want to say it was because of injuries, but Chiesa was actually fit from December 2024 until the end of the season. But he ended up playing only 86 Premier League minutes from that point, with 71 of those minutes coming after Liverpool had already been declared champions. Chiesa would always give his all each time the coach gave him an opportunity, but Slot made it so clear that he didn't have plans for him. This should have been enough to make the winger force a move, but he stayed back and has watched the exact same thing happen again this season. Even in the January window this year, he just didn't push hard enough to leave. If he really wanted to leave the club, we're pretty sure he would have. Finally, Jhon Duran is perhaps the least ambitious player of his generation. The fact that he is currently playing at Zenit St. Petersburg is the biggest evidence of this. At Aston Villa, Duran had the entire world at his feet. His brace against Liverpool, worldie against Everton, winner against Bayern Munich, they all propelled him to the top of the sport in such a short period of time. He was rated as one of the best strikers in the world, and the likes of Chelsea and Barcelona were showing real interest in him. But in January 2025, he decided to leave all that and chase the bag. I mean, fair enough. You can't exactly blame a kid from Colombia for chasing the bag, can you? And he was young. He could still return to the top leagues in a couple years, and on top of that, he was also playing alongside the GOAT. It was not the worst career move, all things considered, but because the Saudi government would not let him live with his girlfriend and commuting from Bahrain wasn't very convenient, he decided to leave all of that behind and move to Fenerbahce. Then just a few months after that, he was on his way to Russia. This just doesn't look like a guy who takes his career very seriously. I mean, if he was religiously chasing the bag, it would have been better. But right now, he just looks like he has nobody giving him quality advice. The only thing on his side right now is age. He is still very young and still has enough time to retrace his steps and start making the right decisions. But so far, he really doesn't strike us as a very ambitious player. Anyway, it is now time to hear from you guys. Are there more players you would say are not very ambitious? Drop their names in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on new content. Catch you in the next one. Bye.
Football's more than a game. It's passion, pride, glory. This World Cup season, Goal90 brings you our biggest offer yet. Buy 3 jerseys and get 1 free. That's 4 jerseys for the price of 3. And yes, free worldwide shipping. This is a limited time World Cup special, only until the 10th of May. So move fast. Pick your jerseys. Wear your passion. Own the moment before they're gone. Visit Goal90 Shop. Link in the description.